Nick, that is the HR advisor, he's a Liverpool fan. We always talk about Luis Suarez. And yeah, I think that was a good point on my CV being from Uruguay.
Welcome to the Network Plus podcast, where we talk all things utilities and beyond. I'm your host, Andy Donnelly, and today I'm joined by Infiltration's Programme Manager for the Southwest Water contract, Flo Alvarez, a trailblazer in sustainability whose journey from Uruguay to the UK demonstrates a real determination to make a difference in the world.
I feel like even I come from the other part of the world, I'm very connected on a way that how people feels about the environment and their future and the future of their kids.
Flo arrived in the UK just 18 months ago. She has already completed a master's degree in sustainable futures at Bristol University. Her role at Network Plus puts her firmly at the forefront of driving transformation.
It's like if you go to the doctor and you say, hey, I think I have something that is going wrong, but I don't know actually what it is. So the first thing is to find out what is that problem we are facing, and then we come up with a strategy, a plan.
Today, Flo opens up about how her global perspective shapes her life and work, and how she believes it's the small changes that make the biggest difference. Flo, welcome to the podcast. You've established a glowing reputation at Network Plus in a short space of time, but you're actually from Uruguay. So how did you get here, and where did this all start?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I arrived last year to the UK. Yeah, I have been living my whole life in Uruguay. I was born and raised in Uruguay. It's a small country between Argentina and Brazil in South America. My family is a very small one. I have just one sister, and my parents have been working very hard for our education, to have swimming pool classes, English classes. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And yeah, well, after uni, and I knew every time that I was studying that I wanted to go abroad and study a new subject and keep expanding my knowledge. And that's how I get here, because I got a scholarship from the University of Bristol to start a research and a master's degree in sustainable futures. And that is how I get here for the first time. And then I joined Network Plus a couple of months after arriving.
So you've had the benefit of a really supportive family background, a good education, the benefit of a second language, which has helped you adapt at Bristol University. So tell us about your education in Uruguay then.
Yeah, well, I have to start with my childhood, because my parents, they didn't went to the uni. They started the uni, but they didn't finish, because as you know, when you have kids and you have a very good job, it's kind of difficult to keep the track. So they always encourage us to go to uni, to keep studying, because education was the thing that they were going to leave us as their legacy is our education. But as you know, I come from a part of the world that lived some crisis during the 2001. I was in school and I went to the public education, but they keep investing on education on English, music, and sports. Why I'm saying this, because my soft skills right now come from that experience, from that investment from my parents, and with their support and my friends, I then went to uni after high school, you go here secondary. I have a mix of English, American and British English, so sorry. I went to the public university. My country has a very strong public structure, more like a welfare state based on the Nordic model of development. And I went to uni to study development studies. I used to work also at the same time, so I started very early to work, and that's how I get here.
Oh, what was your first job?
Well, my first job was as a teacher, English teacher in a nursery with 3 and 4 years kids. what kind of experience I was starting uni. I needed to have a part-time job. I started to do that and work with kids. I love kids. But at some point I decided, okay, if I want to keep working with kids, I would get my education on that. Or if I want to keep on that development studied area that is more related to public policy in South America, well, I would do that in the future. And then I started to invest more time to take a job in that role. You might be asking, maybe, what is development studies? Well, I didn't know at the beginning. It was something very related to economy and public policy, social science. But when you come from a developing country, a country that is trying to keep growing, having more education, industrial policies, that is something that is quite on the public opinion, on the public conversation. So I took that track, without knowing what that was going to take me. But I'd say, my parents, they support me and my sister in our dreams, and they say, okay, if you want to do that, we're going to support you, to be with you on your way, and let's see where you get there. And well, here I am.
and here you are. And sustainability, you're known around Network Plus for your passion around sustainability, but that was a passion that you already had back then when you set out doing that degree in development, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you hear development nowadays with the United Nations agenda, you hear about sustainable development, just because development is just not about growth. It's like growth in a way that the future generations can also live and have the same opportunities as us. And to do that, we discovered that, well, the environmental degradation was quite big in our way of living. As I told you, I'm very influenced by the country I was born. And in Uruguay, as well on many countries in South America, we depend on the environment, on our main productive activities, agriculture, livestock. Even for energy, we use most of that's why we have renewable energies in our whole system in Uruguay, because we are very close to the environment and how to make a match between our development strategy and environment. The problem we got in those countries, and we have right now here, because we are talking about zero transition, zero network, and reduce the carbon emissions. All of that has been making sense in the last years, but it's all goes back to our relationship to environment. And I come from a small town in nearby Montevideo, that is the main city in Uruguay. And when I go to North Devon, I feel like home, because it's like a lot of trees next to the beach. I have a lot of green areas around my house. I can go by walking up to everywhere. So it's kind of that closeness to green, let's say, make me feel like, okay, I have to do something to protect these areas when cities are growing. My city, at the beginning, my house was the first house of the row when my grandparents bought it. And now this full of houses. There is not any space for any new houses. So I have seen the impact of a city growing. And I feel like that make as a child, unconsciously, okay, what is going to happen with the beach? What is going to happen with the trees? What is going to happen with the nature that is around us when we keep growing? And that was I think the initial seed. And then it grew up to, okay, get really concerned about how we are related with the future, with the development, with our projects, and the way we are interacting with our environment, not just natural environment, with people.
And at Network Plus, our business is utilities, it's infrastructure, it's naturally associated with the very kinds of developments that you're talking about. But equally, we're big on sustainability at Network Plus. So have you found it a relatively easy business environment to translate to?
Yeah, I think so. I was very interested about water management, and that is why I applied for my position right now. And I'm working right now in the water industry and wastewater specifically. But I think, everything is related. And even now, I think it's stronger. if I compare 1 year ago, we were talking about environment degradation, and we were talking about, okay, how we can reduce our impact and some net zero strategies. But nowadays, when we are thinking on a desalination plant, we are not just thinking about to take, okay, we need more clean water, but also how is going to be the energy produced for that plant. So we are making utilities also combine, because we work in both like water and electricity. So we can have that mix of strategies and maybe knowledge around sustainability that is so complex. It's not just about reducing plastic or just reducing our impact. That's very complex, very systemic to understand and to approach.
You did your master's at Bristol University. How did that come about?
That's a good story. Well, I was supposed to be coming in 2020. You can imagine that in 2020 nobody was going to take any plane or flight because we were in the middle of the COVID. And so back in that time, I used my, after graduating in Uruguay, I used my time to work in different countries remotely because I had that opportunity with more flexible and effectiveness, less a project management because of technology. We didn't use Zoom until COVID was very strong, you know. Yeah. So that kind of things were very important to the impact I had on my work, and at the same time how technology keeps project management growing and making more agile and flexible. But after 2-3 years, I came up like I wanted to do my master in 2020. So on 2023, I applied for a scholarship in the University of Bristol, and I won an award, an international award that the university has for international students to pursue my degree here.
Wow, so that degree, that master's course, that didn't exist in South America, North America, anywhere else?
No, not itself like it's designed here. It's a master's of sustainable futures that nowadays is going to the human geography department, but in Bristol it was born from the environmental law, so it was in the School of Law. There are some examples of future studies combined with sustainability in Finland, but are more related to future studies, or sustainability itself, like socio-ecological systems in Stockholm. But there are some seeds that are starting to grow in this interdisciplinary approach, and Bristol seems to be the right place to come because it was like one single opportunity to get that involvement on a very top university in the world, and at the same time a lot of disciplines working together. When I arrived here, I learned that not only University of Bristol but also Bath, Exeter are working together in a doctoral partnership to approach this topic. So yeah, it's you are here in the UK, and especially this partnership between the Southwest is leading this topic around the world.
So you're working for Network Plus. You've been part of a network of universities in the Southwest. Just taking a step back to that first degree, you also did some volunteering at the time, didn't you, in Brazil?
Yeah.
And was that related to your degree or to your MA?
Well, it was related to understand what was development back that time. Think about development, sustainability, as well as democracy for some social science researchers, or justice. It's a social construction. Yeah, each culture and each country and each society is going to give itself what that means for them and what is the plan strategy to achieve it. And back in my first degree, I didn't for sure have a lot of perspectives outside my country from development, and I was studying development in Latin America. There is a big school of decolonization and a lot of social science studies around the topic. And I went to Brazil to an NGO in Fortaleza, with an NGO that helps volunteers around the world to move around in a network. They find you a house and at the NGO to work. And I was working on my first year of uni with children. So I said, okay, I can work with children. I ended up working with a program called Jovem Estagiário in Portuguese. They are giving some soft skills and hard skills to young people that haven't been included in the educational system, and to give them the first opportunity of a job. They have like a traineeship, like an apprenticeship inside the NGOs, the local NGOs. Those NGOs are working on informal settlements, giving full education, emotional support to children and young people. And I went there as a teacher, or maybe as a mentor, to talk about my country, teach some Spanish. I end up teaching English at the same time, well, naturally. And then, and when I came back, I had that perspective of development, social development, that at the same time I combined later on my career with this leadership development, and my next works were mostly related to this skill building on young people.
Now, you're applying all that background, all that experience, all that learning and knowledge into your current role at Network Plus, where you've established a glowing reputation, it has to be said. How are you applying all that in your day-to-day role?
Well, I grew up as a project manager on business support. After my first degree, I started to work with small and medium enterprises, as well as startups, in innovation systems, but especially in programs. I took that knowledge from public policies that they usually create programs, and I start to think, okay, what if we use that knowledge to create something that is going to start and finish when we have chambers of commerce, of NGOs dedicated to train or to create networks around business. Yeah. Local business, or it could be an industry pathway. And in that, I start to grow up as a project and program manager from zero to the close down of a project. I apply this now. I am working on infiltrations on sewer networks in the water industry and wastewater. And I have to deal from the zero of a project, investigating diagnosis of a problem, and then to come up with a strategy with the stakeholders, build a strategy and produce a program of works that is going to be not just on just one scheme or one town. It's going to be multiple towns at the same time. See all the resources that are needed at the end. I go to the close down to measure the impact we have on catchments or in a town, or even on the impact of the outcomes we propose at the beginning. So all of that is just because I come with that structure of working in projects in multidisciplinary teams around the world with different cultures. I bring that flexibility, I think, to my experience here, to say, okay, we have different backgrounds, we have different opinions, and it's not about who is right or wrong. We just have to make an agreement. So I'm always like the glue of the team, like I make people not to agree with it. Maybe they disagree completely, but we can have a conversation and agree a target goal and see, okay, how we are going to achieve this target. But that is basically my role.
Right. So you're a leader, you're a coordinator, you're a peacekeeper, you're a diplomat. You're going to be bringing all this. The people. Tell us a little bit about the people you work with. Without naming names. What's your working environment like? What are the people like who you work with within Network Plus and with partners such as Southwest Water?
Okay. So we started this year with a very small team creating all the process that we were going to then develop around infiltrations. Infiltrations is a very simple word, but it means a lot. So that we have sewer networks, and the sewer treatment plants, that we usually have to basically work on the sanitation system. They have overflows if we have more flow coming into the plants. We are working on the efficiency of those plants, reducing the flow. And there are different strategies, but basically we are looking for all the leakage that are in the structural defects that are on the pipelines. When we do that, we have to come up with an idea. So to solve that problem, basically. So we have different teams working all around the Southwest. That is very important because we are working with local teams that are investigating, and then we train and we work with supervisors that are going to be leading the remediation works. At the same time, every time we are working on the pipeline, we have to get access into manholes. That means street works or even CLOs to have customer liaison. And also we have all an engineering team advising on all the strategies we are carrying on different kind of problems, from structural defects to sometimes a lateral that is coming with a lot of water. The difference of this is that it's not hotspots. We are working in all the catchments. So we are going on a town and we have to screen all the town to find what is the problem. It's like if you go to the doctor and you say, hey, I think I have something that is going wrong, but I don't know actually what it is. So the first thing is to find out what is that problem we are facing, and then we come up with a strategy, a plan. Everything is going so fast because, as you know, the infrastructure and the sewer infrastructure in the UK comes from many years, Victorian age and time. Yeah. So right now, I call this a resilience strategy. We are creating resilience on the infrastructure as well as efficiency on the treatment plants. So at the end, what we are impacting is on the pollution risk of a spilling. Yeah, and that is how I think sustainability is related, and how my approach to be a leader in this team is working, thinking about, okay, we have to reduce a leakage and why it's so important what we are doing. And at the same time, how we integrate the people around our schemes. So to close that question, we have people in street works, we have engineers, we have designers, there is a team in developing the investigations, other teams developing remediation works. We have closed down people that is around the administrative perspective of the contract. So there's a lot of people involved. What I love most is that most of the people is coming from the area. So Network Plus has grown their team in the Southwest, and I feel like because when you have people working, there is also at the same time maybe a customer of the same service that they're fixing. There's another kind of engagement with the work. And yeah, I have seen that, and I have seen the impact also on trainings and how we understand the complexity of maybe closing a role in the middle of the summer if that town depends on summer because of tourists, for instance.
Yeah. So you're working on big schemes with big teams, lots of people involved, lots of moving parts, almost like a surrogate family, I suppose, these big teams that you work with, because you came over to England with, to study in a second language with no friends or family around, no support network. How challenging was that?
Well, it's quite challenging. I think I was not conscious until I get into the airport and say, oh, I'm alone. I have a good, friends in Uruguay that one of my friends that she went to my goodbye party. She said to me, hey, I know someone else that is going to move to Bristol from Uruguay. Whereas I only know two people from Uruguay in Bristol, my friend and me. And he was like, yeah, he got married a few years ago. He is engaged with, married actually, with a person from Bristol. And I was like, oh, that's fabulous. I'm going to meet him as soon as I get to Bristol. I met him in Bristol, Andres. Hello, Andres, if you're seeing. And he introduced me other friends from Argentina that are in Bristol. So I kind of create my support group, like new friends here. But at the same time, at work, it was a friendly environment. Like last month was my birthday, and they weighed me with balloons and presents because, of course, I didn't have a party as I would have at home, and at work they produced that, and I was like not crying, but maybe I cry a little bit. Well,
happy birthday from everybody watching.
Thank
Do you want to tell people how old you
30,
were?
very
30,
proud
wow.
of my 30. Yeah, so that's the thing. I think that I also create like a support network at work with my team. We have a team. That's a very strong word we usually use to support each other and to understand that we are here to help each other, because that's the thing. When you have different backgrounds and your purpose on work is different, sometimes you have to understand the other person is on the other side of the table, and we have to make a middle point, because of course everyone has their own targets, but we have to like kind of create a system between us. And that is how what we have been working in the last, I think, 10 months when we started this team.
Well, this question includes Network Plus, it includes university studies, etc., etc. What are you most proud of?
Most proud? My parents. It's like because I'm doing this not just for me. Yeah, I'm doing this because I'm the first degree, university degree in my family, and I'm proud of all the path, all the things that have been happening until we get here. It's not easy, as you know, but I think that the resilience I have been building over the time, traveling, I love traveling because it creates me that resilience, is what I'm most proud of. Also, as you said, I came to a country where I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how it works. I keep struggling when I have to cross the road because I look to the other side. But at the same time, I found like a support network here. I found activities. I go to the gym. I like to grab a coffee. I learned to go to Sunday roast dinners. I have been trying to get like a routine here. And even when I feel homesick, I have a phone, and technology helping me a lot. And my parents just came 1 month ago to visit me, so I cannot complain.
Apart from your parents, what do you most miss about home, about Uruguay?
Can I say food?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, food a lot. But just because my mom is a very good cooker, you know, she cooks very good. But at the same time, when you move out of your country, you have to start learning again your taste, because food change from one place to the other. And also my friends, I think, one of the because I always talk with them, and when you live abroad, it's very difficult to keep the contact. The contact reminds the responsibility of the contact is for the person that left the country, so it's me in this case. And I have been like working with them and talking a lot about how we can keep being like friends, or how I can keep a track of I have a niece, is the daughter of one of my best friends, and it's like how I can keep a track on her growing up so fast. So that's what I miss most. But here, as I said, it's not too different from where I used to live, on the environment, on the houses, on how the society works. It was not a big change on that perspective, but yes, on the daily things, like today I will like milanesa napolitana, or the Argentinian and Uruguayan will understand me. It's like something comes in a plate. It's kind of when you mix beef with pizza.
Can that be done, beef and pizza?
We did that.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's like something like that, yeah.
Because beef is big in Uruguay, isn't it? It's popular.
Yeah, we are one of the main exporters and boutique meat. So it's like a cuisine, you know. It's like you have to know how to cook it, and it has its own ritual in barbecues, for instance. So it's not just a fast food. It's like it's very part of the culture. There are 5 million cows and 3 million people. So
right, so almost so at least everybody's got at least one cow.
Yeah. There's a phrase in Instagram that says that if kangaroos would like to invade Uruguay, they will win, because there are more kangaroos in the world than Uruguayans. We are 3 million people. We are a small country, very passionate country. We try to go abroad. That is why maybe you know something about Uruguay. we have a lot of football players.
Well, I mean, it makes it extraordinary, doesn't it? Because, population size of not much greater than 3 million, it makes it extraordinary that Uruguay hosted the first FIFA World Cup, that has won the World Cup twice, which is once more than England, which is a huge footballing nation, as you know. So there's also another football connection, isn't there, between the two countries and yourself? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, when I first, as you know, when you are from outside the country, you have kind of start over on the employment market. And I agree with that. It was part of the agreement. I have to go to the UK, and I know I'm probably not going to get my position I left in, like the kind of position I left in Latin America here, yeah. So I start from the bottom as a graduate because I was a student at the uni. The HR advisor, I think he read Uruguay in the CV and say, okay, I know this country. He's a Liverpool fan. We have a great football player, Luis Suarez, that he was like a start in Liverpool football. And I thought I'm going to give an opportunity to this girl. That's my theory. He's not going to admit that, but we always talk about football, and it's like, okay, I haven't made that question as why me, yeah. But it's a question that not everyone is making. I make that question because I come from outside. I need to start over here. And I quite really fast found my place because it's just maybe 15, 16 months since I arrived. So, I feel like I'm in Network Plus thanks for football because Nick, that is the HR advisor, he's a Liverpool fan. We always talk about Luis Suarez, and I think that was a good point on my CV being from Uruguay.
And did any of your family know him personally? Is there any sort of personal connection there, or is it just literally that the two countries coming together?
Two countries coming together by football. I think we have the same love to the sport. I have seen fans around, and I feel like connected in the way they feel the sport. It's not that all the Uruguayans love football, but it's a very popular.
Many do.
Yeah, many do.
And when Suarez left Liverpool, he went to
Barcelona.
And you've got a connection there. There's a Bristol
and Barcelona.
Connection. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. So 3 months before coming here, I met a guy. I thought, okay, I'm going to live to the UK. He knows that. We are going just to have a date. And here we are in this side of the world. He used to live in Spain before COVID. And when I said to him, and we got in love in a few weeks, was like, okay, I have to leave because I have a scholarship. And he was like, okay, I'm going to follow you up. I'm going to get things started here. I'm going to take a flight, go to the UK, spend with you last Christmas. And then he started over in Spain. There was also a thing about him that he wanted to go back to Spain, but at the same time he was a history professor in Uruguay, and now he's working with refugees in Spain. So it was like a win-win. We had like two for the price of one. So we are right now traveling every weekend or every 2 weeks. One is coming over. It's like 2 hours flight from Bristol. So we are like working in this long distance relationship that we don't like to call it like that because we feel very close, but we have been traveling. We went together to London to the British Museum on a 23rd of December. Don't do that to them. Too many people crowded. But we loved being around. We went to the Christmas markets. You have to think Christmas in South America is during summer, and here it's winter. So it has another kind of like energy, and we really love to have that experience. I told you I have a friend from Uruguay here, and his wife is from Bristol, and she is my main source of the British culture. So once I was on a supermarket, I called her saying, where is the thing about mulled wine? Is going to the toilet, is to drink. Why is this mulled? What? And she was like, oh, okay, it's something for Christmas. Yeah, we are going to drink that in Christmas. So yeah, it's kind of, you have a different routine during Christmas because of the winter than we are going to the beach, basically.
So he's working with refugees. You've got this passion for sustainability. It sounds like your values are very closely aligned, which is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, to have same values and a project together. Hopefully next year, the idea is, to him come over here and try to work on his passion here. But right now, I cannot ask that just because he's happy and he's doing a great job. Spain is one of the main centers of reception of refugees, so they have on the European Union a public policy related to that is sustaining the NGOs, and he's working in one of these NGOs, and especially when they're minor, under 18. So he's really passionate about his work. We are both very passionate. That is why we understand each other in this long distance relationship.
And how do you see your professional career developing over the next 3, 4, 5 years? Yeah, so right now I'm feeling like I came here because I already had like that international profile, but just in South America and United States, I have been working in innovation that helps a lot to go out to the world. But I came here because I want to keep building my impact around the world. I have a very good example that maybe it's going to make sense with my experience in Brazil and young entrepreneurs. But I was with one of the ops manager in Network Plus, working in all the strategy for a catchment, and I was showing him after our meeting where I used to live in Brazil, this informal settlement. I asked him, what will you do here when you don't have any network? Houses are not connected to any kind of water, clean water, wastewater. There is one house over another house. For instance, in Brazil, they have on the hills the settlements, and the toilet, they don't work like it works here. When you are very developed, you have a network. We are fixing a network that was already built. So what we do on all those places. And he told me something that for me is like the key of what I'm doing. He said, okay, I would take my team. I will take people, young people from those settlements, and I will take them out there to learn, what we used to do, to take some practice on the work, like an apprenticeship, and I will leave all the skills to them to make a decision on their own and make their own system together with the companies or the councils that are working on those areas. So he was saying something that for me is very important. Is okay, we are going to give skills to people to make a decision. That is an example that it came up and is about my interest to keep researching in a PhD if I get access in the future and I apply to, for instance, make some transfer of knowledge between countries and to help sanitation development in the global south, with some knowledge I get from here, but at the same time respecting that development and that culture that is around each site. But at the same time, I would like to keep growing this awareness of sustainability. So, for instance, when I was doing my dissertation, I was comparing the policies in Mexico and Uruguay with the lens of just transformations. Why is the justice around the development, the sustainability? And it came up that the bottom, like social organizations or neighbors, they are claiming the same in the both of the countries. They are saying, hey, I need more transparency from institutions, from development plans, from the productive policies, and we would like to have better knowledge on how are we deciding as a society, as a country, what we are going to do with the environment. 2 months ago, I was on a council here in the southwest of England talking with neighbors about an infrastructure project. And
I was explaining very detail on what we are going to do, there were a lot of questions about how the system works, how the technology we are using in the pipes is going to make more effectiveness in the long term. And at the end, someone said, hey, thank you so much for coming here, because what we want is this transparency. We want to know what is happening. And at the end, both like those people in Mexico and Uruguay before the public policy, or even a community before an infrastructure project in water, are asking the same. It's like, okay, we want to know what is happening, and we want to know, and we want to be part of the decision. So in my future, what I see in the next 5 years, for instance, is to get more methods, and if I have to keep studying, it's going to be, or researching, it's going to get more tools to enhance that participation, to amplify the impact of what is right now working, a technology, a solution itself, but at the same time to make people and institutions part. So if you think people sometimes feel very disconnected from institutions are in a wider level, so I have to reduce that gap on my own purpose, and that's what I want to do. Both experience, and I feel like even I'm come from the other part of the world, I'm very connected on a way that how people feels about the environment and their future and the future of their kids.
Well, I think that's a really good place to finish. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been a wonderful guest. So from everybody at Network Plus, thank you and good luck with whatever the future has in store.
Thank you so much.